What's the old saying? You can't have your cake and eat it too. I had some delicious cake yesterday. Shout out to my niece. It was her birthday. Awesome cake. Love cake. Cake's great. But you can't have it and eat it too. And I feel the same about the Browns OC search. Because I said multiple times my number one goal was to continue to have Kevin Stefanski call the plays. If he felt like there was a world that they got a qualified candidate to do that, he doesn't want to call plays anymore, I will put that in the hands of Kevin Stefanski. I got a snarky tweet about that this morning. I'll get to that in a little bit. But with the hiring of Ken Dorsey, it seems like that might line up that Kevin Stefanski is going to continue to call plays. So with that, I have to be accepting of the hire. Was he my number one guy? Probably not. But you weren't going to get the top guys. You were probably not going to get the number one guy in your list and also have Kevin Stefanski call plays. So I have my cake. I'd like to eat it, but I got what I wanted, so therefore I can't be upset. Ken Dorsey announced Deshaun Watson making a push for another Clemson Tiger to join the Cleveland Browns. You got T. Higgins. Would you be willing to give up another key player for the Cleveland Browns to make the money work? We got our recap of the AFC NFC Championship games. We'll get to timeout. We are smoking hot on our Cavs typical boost. We got another one tonight for the Clippers. We got it all right here on a Monday edition on Big Play. Welcome to the show, everybody. I am Matt Fontana. He is Ryan Tyler. Good morning. Dude, I can't wait. We are on it right now on Typico. We have hit 2 Cavs boosts in a row. We hit our sending the Ravens to Cancun boost yesterday. We're up big. We're up big on Typico right now. So get to the Cavs tonight as they take on the Clippers. We will get a little more Browns coming up as well. Got our time hop. We got our morning update. And, of course, we get to our bracket a little bit later in the show. But Ken Dorsey making the return to Cleveland. He was not my top guy. I admit that. And I say that. Ran through the list of other guys, and I'm not here to... Ryan, I got... people were saying, oh, look what Buffalo did here and there. And Buffalo. So Ken Dorsey is here. And the first thing that I thought when they hired Ken Dorsey was, I thought they were going to wait. Because Clint Kubiak is out there. And he is obviously Gary Kubiak's son. Kevin Stefanski comes off that tree. I thought they'd give it another week. I really thought they would give this another week of seeing what shook out with the Ravens and losing and what happened in the championship games and all that. But they don't. They make the move, and they bring in Ken Dorsey. And the reports were that he was very impressive in his interview. And those are important, right? You and me are looking at his body of work and what he did with Buffalo. Yes, he got fired from that job. I don't think that should be discredited in this. He was fired from Buffalo, and it seemed to unlock what the Buffalo Bills are trying to do. But we weren't in that interview, right? We weren't sitting there to see what his thoughts were on this or to gauge his thoughts on how they could approach it, all that kind of stuff, and it sounds like he blew them away. So I do believe that a factor in all of this, as they looked at it, was, is Kevin Stefanski going to call plays or not? I would tell you this morning, Ryan, with the hiring of Ken Dorsey, I assume Kevin Stefanski is going to keep calling plays. If that's the case, then I have to be happy about the hire. He was not my number one guy. I'm going to call it for what it is. I don't like the fact that he was fired from Buffalo. I don't like that because clearly there were issues that they were having there, and they also got better after he left. Now, a change of scenery, a change of players, it doesn't mean that Ken Dorsey is not a smart offensive mind. Because the other thing I want to bring up this morning, too, remember when he got hired there? That was a really big get for them. He was, a couple of years ago, one of these up-and-coming guys. You talk about Gerard Johnson being a giant up-and-coming offensive mind. That was Ken Dorsey a couple of years ago. Now, Hugh Jackson was the up-and-coming head coach years ago. I know he had the Raiders gig the first time around. But when the Browns got him, that was the get. Don't forget that Ken Dorsey was that for the Buffalo Bills a couple of years ago. So I'm trying to temper a little bit of expectations on this. We'll put our Twitter question out this morning at Matt Fontana Show, streaming live on Twitter X. We're up on YouTube, and we're also streaming on Twitch. Drop us a follow on our Twitch channel at Matt Fontana Show. We'll ask everybody, how do you feel about the Ken Dorsey hire? Do you love it? Or you kind of, or you don't like it? Cast your votes on that. And I'm sure, I would imagine third on this poll, Ryan, is going to be I love it. Because we got all conditioned on some of these other names. And here's Ken Dorsey, former Browns quarterback. There is something weird about the circle of life because with Browns quarterbacks that you see everywhere, there's two things. Browns kickers and quarterbacks. You just see recycled around the league. And I always send the Leo gif where he's like, hey, I know that guy. And there's something full circle about Ken Dorsey coming back to the Cleveland Browns. But it's all relative. It's all about the role that he is going to play. And we've had a lot of conversations about that, on what exactly this OC is going to do. I don't believe he's calling plays. Okay. And if that was truly my number one goal, then this was the best that you could do. Seriously. This was probably the best that you could do. For a lot of these other guys, they were not coming to this job unless they were going to call plays, unless this was another step towards an ascension of becoming a head coach. And I think Ken Dorsey probably still has those goals. But Ryan, this seems to be that rebuilding of his career, right? Okay, so you got fired. He was available. He took this job as step one of the rebuild of his career. I'm assuming, and maybe this is wrong of me to do, but I'm going to assume that Ken Dorsey still has goals of becoming a head coach in the NFL. I think most coaches in the circle, just from a money standpoint, from a notoriety standpoint, you want to become a head coach at one point. Well, he got benched. To talk about coach or talk about players, he's a little like Baker Mayfield, right? You got benched, you got discarded, you got to go somewhere, kind of rebuild your name, rebuild your brand, and it's going to be hard because, again, I'm assuming he's not going to call plays, but if the Browns offense goes out there and lights things up this year, and you point to Ken Dorsey and say, hey, man, he had a big part in this, that can help him for jobs in the future. For what he's going to bring to the Cleveland Browns, it remains the number one thing of fixing Deshaun Watson. Again, I shouldn't say my number one goal in this was Kevin Stefanski calling plays. My number one goal is to fix Deshaun Watson. And I'm sure that in that interview, with what the Browns are reportedly impressed with, it better have been what Ken Dorsey's going to do to fix Deshaun Watson. I would imagine that however long they met, a good chunk of that, what did you see in Watson, and what can you do to fix him up? Or what can we do to fix this offense for him? And that's probably what got Ken Dorsey this job. So I have to have the belief and the faith that that is the number one goal, while Kevin Stefanski is going to keep calling plays. Now, that being said, I got a snarky tweet from a fellow Matt this morning. And he tweeted me. Because I said, would not have been my first choice, but it is what it is. He goes, Matt tweets, you mean Stefanski didn't ask you who you think they should hire? No, he didn't. He can. He said what? He said, you mean Stefanski didn't ask you who he should hire?
Oh.
And then he said, why support the coach, not his decision on who he thinks would be the best to help the team? Matt, I support the decision. I support it. My job is to give you what I think. And what I thought was Ken Dorsey was not the top candidate for me. But I support Kevin Stefanski in this decision. He knows more about it than I do. So they made a much more informed decision than I would have. So this is not me being angry about him hiring Ken Dorsey. This is not about, oh man, this is a horrible, and that's to get to our Twitter question. I'm not going to vote that this is a horrible hire. I'm just kind of, all right, let's see. There was no world, I shouldn't say that. Gerard Johnson would have got me excited. Okay. Ken Dorsey, got to see. Got to see how it plays out. And the same thing, I could be all excited like I was when the Browns hired Hugh Jackson. I could be all excited and go through the roof that they hired Gerard Johnson, which they didn't. But I could go through the roof saying, this is great. You go 1-31. You know how that played out. Like, it's done. It's over. You have the guy. And all the focus now returns to getting Deshaun Watson right. And I just hope that Ken Dorsey is that missing piece. I hope that he is the final thing that this offense needs, and it's going to be the most important thing. Figuring out Deshaun Watson, bringing in that offensive mind. So for Ken Dorsey, I'm just going to go on our Twitter question, right? All right, we'll see how it plays out. I'm neither positive nor negative on it. They hired Andy Dickerson, I would have had problems, okay? If they had hired somebody, at least you have somebody. Let's do a pro-con list. Pros, Ken Dorsey, been an offensive coordinator in the NFL before. Has been the offensive coordinator on a pretty good offense at one point. He has also called plays. I liked that aspect of it, where if things change or something happens this season, or Kevin Stefanski comes to the realization, I don't want to call plays anymore. Or we have finally reached that threshold that he's always talked about. He's going to keep doing it as long as it's in the best interest of the team. Maybe there's a world that isn't true anymore. At least you have a guy that has done it before. Those are all pros for Ken Dorsey. What would you say are the biggest cons about Ken Dorsey? He was out of a job. He was let go. Buffalo got better after he left. Okay. All right. I mean, other than that, it's a lot of pros. There's a lot of good things about it. I guess if you really wanted to read into maybe he's never coached a quarterback quite like Deshaun Watson, I don't think many people have, but you got to believe in the man, in his background, that you're going to figure that out, come in, figure this out on the offense, and we'll go and we'll lead the league. And I just asked for a top 5 off. Well, I don't say top 5. You got to be better. You got to be better. You got to just be better than what you were last year, and part of that might be wide receiver. Let's get to that next. Brian, cast your vote. How do you feel about the Ken Dorsey hire for the Browns?
I think I'm, like a lot of fans at the moment, pretty indifferent. Seems like that's what you are too.
Indifferent is probably right. Yeah,
neither love it nor hate it. I mean, it's one of those things, right? It's not a name that's going to push the needle very much until you see that result.
That's a good thing,
right.
though.
Until you see it kind of translate to the field. Right now on paper, it's not a Kellen Moore. It's not maybe a Gerard Johnson, who we hoped. But
I forgot about Kellen Moore.
But I mean, right, like you said, it's another guy who has experience calling plays, who's been with quarterbacks before, like Josh Allen and Cam Newton. And I mean, kind of like, I know we were excited for Jim Schwartz, but I don't think anybody imagined he was going to take our defense to that level that we saw. But I'm okay. I mean, many people are going to say, does this really elevate you that much from AVP? I don't know. Nobody knows. And in terms of the play calling, like you said, I would imagine that my initial reaction was, okay, Kevin's going to remain calling plays.
I believe that's going to. I mean, again, we could be wrong on that, but I'm going to operate that way until they tell me different.
And right now, I'm okay with that. And from what I saw last year, I have faith in Kevin's play calling, and he has a newfound trust, I think, from a lot of us fans. He proved that he knows what he's doing, and I trust that he was a big part of that hiring Ken Dorsey. They hired him for a reason. Obviously, we don't know what went in between those walls in the interview, but like you said, he obviously did something right, and we don't know, but maybe he'll be the guy.
The other thing is that you mentioned Kellen Moore. There are still a lot of names out there. I'm actually really surprised the Browns made the move when they did. This is the off week before the Super Bowl. There's a lot of interviews going on. There's a lot of things shaking out, and sorry, this is going to sound like an a-hole for a second. I think a lot of people were kicking down the door to bring Ken Dorsey in. So I really thought this would drag out into the week and they'd bring in a few other people but again, if you got what you need right in front of you, you take it. And I think that's probably what happened with the Browns. They could have interviewed some of these other people. They could have taken this into the week and seen who else and see how all the rest of these coaching hires kind of shake out. They said, nope, this is what we need. He's right here in front of us. Let's not wait any longer. Now, don't forget, too, I've not heard anything on the quarterback coach yet because we assume that's something Ken Dorsey can just pick up. He was a former NFL quarterback. He has coached that before. Do they do that combo role? And I'm watching that with my investigative eyes to say, if he becomes the quarterback's coach as well as the OC, he's not calling plays. That's too much. That's too much on his plate to do all three of those things. So I do think at this point, which we don't have an announcement from the team yet, probably get that some point this morning, if they attach that quarterback's coach to him, then you kind of can seal it up and say, okay, Kevin Stefanski not call, or he's going to keep calling plays. Ken Dorsey not going to do it. And that's fine. And that's all fine. Well, the Browns offense, we know they still need some help this offseason. And we've talked about the importance of getting another receiver in here. And Deshaun Watson is doing, and I know everybody's seen the clip, so we're not even going to play it here. He was on his podcast, and he was making his pitch to T. Higgins. They're both Clemson Tigers. They played at a different time. T was after Deshaun. He made all his time there with Trevor Lawrence. And I like T. Higgins. And T. Higgins is a really good receiver. And he's probably going to be out in Cincinnati. They'll roll with Jamar Chase. And he's looking to go get paid. Watson was on his podcast making his pitch to T. Higgins to come up to Cleveland. Before we even talk T. Higgins, I like that from Deshaun Watson. I like that ownership that Deshaun Watson is now displaying with this team. And we know how things started here. And it was going to take some time to kind of get through the off-the-field situation and him dealing with that. And again, however you feel about that, I'm not here to argue about that, or people hate Deshaun Watson for what he did and all that other kind of stuff. Fine. We're behind. We're moving past it. We're on to football. And I think it took him some time to get through that and get himself in here and figure all that out. Now is that time that I want him doing what he was just doing. Talk to some of these guys. And you might be saying that that's all a bunch of malarkey and that's all a bunch of that doesn't matter and they just want the biggest contract. You'd be wrong on that. You would be wrong on that. This is a different sport. And it's maybe not an apples-to-apples comparison here. But the Columbus Blue Jackets, who I love very much, who are struggling to the nth degree, they got Johnny Gaudreau last year. Johnny Gaudreau was one of the biggest offseason, one of the biggest free agents entering the NHL pool last year. And he chose the lowly Columbus Blue Jackets. And everybody said, what? Why would you want to go there? He had his almost pick of the litter. He could have gone to any of these teams. He got a fat contract, sure. But he said there was something about Columbus. There was a story that one of his good friends formerly played for the Blue Jackets, and he spent some time here, and he talked to this player, and he loved Columbus, and he wanted to come play there. Boom. Now, the Jackets are horrible, and they're not taking advantage of it. But my point is, it's more than just the dollars. It sometimes can even be more than just, is this team successful or not? There are things about that when you have friends that say, come join me here. Come, and the NBA is the prime example. The NBA was that of all these players talking and kind of pooling together and joining these teams. I think that is super important, what Deshaun Watson was doing in making a pitch for T. Higgins. We are not the same Browns teams of the past, where it's sad and you can't get anybody to come here and you got veterans coming here to steal money. That's not where the Browns are at. And boy, do I got a list, Ryan, of guys that just stole money from the Cleveland Browns. Mike Holmgren's top of that list, but he didn't play. We're not there anymore. We are a bit of a free agent destination, where if you were a free agent like Juan Thornhill last year, okay, you give me a competitive offer, I believe this team can go places, we're in the running. But you still need that little push. You still need a guy that you view as your franchise leader, one of the faces of the franchise. He's paid up. I appreciate Deshaun Watson for doing that. He doesn't have to. But what that shows me is that his ownership of this, he is in this as much as any of the other players, maybe even as much as I don't know if any player will be in as much as the fans are, because we live this and we've been here for years and decades and that. But he's in this as much as everybody else. And I'm going to step up to the plate here. And I'm going to go get some of these guys. And tampering and all that other kind of stuff and texts that are sent. Ryan, before we even talk wide receiver and T. Higgins, I appreciate that Deshaun Watson is taking ownership of that and getting out there and making some pitches to some of these guys. I think it's important, and I'm not just throwing this aside. I think that's great. Now, does he ultimately sign here? What does the deal look like? All that still needs to get worked out. But at least you got to start here. At least you got to start with a guy like Deshaun Watson and come play football with me. I'll get you the ball.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like to see it. Obviously, you want your quarterback going out there to recruit and represent the team. Like, hey, come here, we got something cooking. But the reality is, and we'll talk about it, get into it, it's not happening.
It's the money. So next year, Amari Cooper's the big one, as we know. Base salary at $20 million, the restructure down to 3.7, cap hit of 23, dead cap and all that kind of stuff. Amari Cooper is going to be here. You know that. The question is, would you sacrifice a long-term deal for Amari Cooper if that meant you could sign a guy like T. Higgins? Would you give up the dream of Amari Cooper playing here beyond next year if that meant that money could be allocated towards a top-flight, younger wide receiver? Ryan, you said the first thing this morning is what about that? Age, right?
Yeah.
If you were making the case...
I mean, that's the only reason. That's literally the only reason I think that you can make that argument.
Productivity, numbers, fitness, offense. Amari Cooper's got it all. He does it all. The thing is, Andrew Berry's going to have to start making some of these decisions on guys that are really meant to be here for the next 3 to 5 years. And I want Amari Cooper here. I do. And I think he fits. The question is, would I do that knowing I would have no ability to sign any of these top guys in free agency? I want that more than anything, Ryan. I want the Browns. This whole offseason for me will be predicated on if they get a top-flight wide receiver in free agency. I'm done with the draft. You had to make hay while you could with third-round picks. And I'm not throwing away Cedric Tillman. He's still got time to develop. Elijah Moore was a giant bust, okay? He'll be here this year. Maybe they can unlock him. I don't know. But what I would love more than anything is to somehow work the numbers and you go sign a guy. I want Mike Evans. That's not happening. But a guy like T. Higgins, however that might be, to get him in here. You're shaking your head, Ryan, because you have the numbers up. Tell everybody why it ain't
first of all,
happen.
it's not even about the numbers. I want T. Higgins too. I think he's great.
And let me put it this way. It's not even T. Higgins. I want just something like that. Okay, it doesn't even have to be T. Higgins. I want a top-flight wide receiver in free agency. That is the only thing that I want this offseason.
Well, what do you consider top flight? Because it's not happening. First of all, T. Higgins, I don't know why. I don't even understand why this is a conversation because I'd be very shocked if the Bengals didn't franchise tag him. I don't see why they would.
Yeah, they're short on cash down there. I get it. Okay.
When you're talking about top flight receivers, right? You have Mike Evans, T. Higgins, and I mean after that, it's really it's deep, but those are the two kind of tiers, right?
Yeah,
Unless you talk about Calvin Ridley, but his play last year doesn't.
Mary
put him
Kay
in that
said that he might be a little. I'd take Calvin Ridley would suffice my top flight. That would quench my thirst on Calvin Ridley. It would.
Okay, yes. And then so even if you focus on Calvin Ridley, I don't think I don't know how the market's going to value him. I don't think Jacksonville necessarily sees him, especially after this year, as worth throwing him that max. He's not going to get anything like that. But
let's talk dollars for a second. We're talking $18 to $20 million a year. That's what Amari Cooper's on the hook for next year. That's what you're paying.
T. Higgins is pretty much the same thing. He's projected 19.
Yeah, and Justin Jefferson's going to get even more than that, and Jamar Chase is going to get even more than that. Those are guys that are in the $24, $25 million range. You are talking $18 to $20 million for the receiver that I'm talking about. I don't think you have a choice. I think you have to do it. If you're going to go all in, which you have with Deshaun Watson, you have no choice but to see this through. And it's easy for me to sit here and play with the cap because it's not my job. And to me, the cap is fake. I know it's real, but you play with it. If you're going to go all in with Deshaun Watson, what have the Browns actually done to help him? Now, there's two sides to that coin. The first one is you did go all in on him. He needs to step up and make something out of the guys that are here. The Tom Brady element, certainly the Patty Mahomes. We'll talk about those games coming up about 10 minutes. But the other thing is, what have you tangibly done to help Deshaun Watson? Now, that's relative of what can you do. There are constraints. You've got an awesome offensive line. You have a top flight running back that was already here. You had a tight end that's a Pro Bowler. You've got Amari Cooper. It comes back to the receivers beyond Amari Cooper. And that is what I need the Browns to shore up. I'm fine with everything else on this offense. I'm fine with every piece that you have on this offense. Assuming Nick Chubb will come back at some point this year, assuming your tackles are healthy, Njoku, all of it is good. The only thing I need is just one more receiver. That's it. And I know there's going to be turnover on the defense, and you're going to have to sign some D tackles and this and that. If I am Andrew Berry, and I would say this, God, I wish he was sitting here, I would say, I just shake, Andrew, please, just give me that receiver. That's it. And if you got to go into salary cap hell, if it's going to be even harder than you thought, that is my only ask. And even if it blows up, I've said this about the Nick Chubb contract. I want them to sign Nick Chubb to a deal so he's here forever. And if there's a time that it blows up, I'm not going to hold that against Andrew Berry. I say the same thing about any receiver of that top flight level. You bring him in here, I'm not going to complain about it. You just got to get him here. And then let it play out with your coaches, with Watson. And folks, I hate saying this, but it's true. There's a chance that all of this blows up. There is a chance that at the end of the Deshaun Watson deal, at the end of Myles Garrett's career, at the end of Nick Chubb, that you never got there. And I don't want to live in that world. And we're not, because right now it's still in front of us. The light is still there at the end of the tunnel. So with that in mind, you have got to keep going forward. You have got to keep pushing that this is the time. The only thing that matters is receiver. That's it. Nothing else matters this offseason, in my opinion, except getting another top-level receiver in here. Everything else is secondary. Yeah, you might have to move some money. You're going to do this. Because the other thing, again, here I am just playing with the cap. Ryan, once we hit that restructure on Watson, doesn't that instantly free up $30 million? Am I reading that wrong?
No, I think so.
What are we doing? What are we doing? Now, I know the Haslams have to keep cutting checks and spending the cash up front, and there's a time that it might bite us in the ass down the road. I'll deal with that down the road. And mark my words and hold me accountable to this. In a couple of years, if they do this and you're in salary cap hell in 2028, I'm not going to complain. I'm not. Because you did what was needed right now. It's the number one thing. It has to be. And again, going back to Deshaun Watson making these pitches and helping out, don't you want to say, hey, this is worth it, man. This is really helping us because we're going to go get one of these guys. And it also, it's called for what it is. That's Deshaun Watson having the same sense as us. It's not good enough. You don't sit there and tell T. Higgins, you got to come up and help me here in Cleveland if you were feeling really good about everything else. That's not a shot at Amari Cooper. I'm not trying to say that Deshaun Watson was talking crap on Amari Cooper by asking T. Higgins to come up here. Deshaun Watson knows what he needs. And Deshaun Watson just told us all this weekend they need another receiver. And he's going to get out there and, again, I'm happy about this, be active in trying to find one. It's not that simple. You can't just sign a guy to a 2-year deal and give him peanuts and say, all right, hey, man, you got a chance to come win a championship. It's not how it works. But you got your quarterback out there asking for receivers. Get him what he wants. Give me what I want. Deshaun Watson and I are on the same page in this. We both want a receiver. If it's T. Higgins, fantastic. If it's somebody else, maybe, again, the list isn't quite as long as we thought. Get somebody in here. Get somebody in here. But, Ryan, I do like that he's out there trying to make these pitches to some of these guys. Because at least he's thinking about it.
I mean, how could he not be? Like, it doesn't take a genius to realize that probably our most inefficient spot last year was at the wide receiver position outside of Amari Cooper, of course. But, like, okay, well, then if we're going to talk about these wide receivers, how, like, we all joke about the cap and the Haslams. It doesn't exist, but it really does.
It does, but it doesn't.
But I don't think it. But how do you even get that money then? You have to part ways with Wyatt Teller. That's really the only way.
That's kind of what we're talking about,
really
right? It's the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know, because are they going to give Za'Darius another $11 million?
No.
I hope not.
No.
Well,
I hope not.
So what are they?
But that's the other thing too. I need a pass. Like that's the thing. Andrew Berry is sitting down here trying to allocate where this money is going to go, and you're also going to probably have a tough cut that needs to be made. You want to know what popped into my head? You saw what this team looked like with the Wyatt. I don't want to say this because it's so negative. Like, you know what some of these guys are, so it's like, why not try something else? Now, I don't want to live in a world that Wyatt Teller's not here either. I think he's very good at his job, and you think, oh, you just plug somebody else in there, we'll figure it out. It ain't that easy. It ain't that easy. And you could take what was a strength and all of a sudden turn it into a weakness. There's a lot of spinning plates, man. This is really hard on what the Browns have to do. The other thing is, you are in your go window. Now is the time for the Browns to be competing. I can't wait for draft picks to develop anymore. I can't wait to see if this guy turns into something 2 years down the road. I want tangible, on-the-field experience and a guy that I know can contribute in 2024. Now, that also being said, I feel like the receiving classes over the last couple of years have shown that young rookie wide receivers can still have an impact. We'll go find me your Puka Nacua. Yeah, we don't have a Sean McVay around here. I like Kevin Stefanski. Okay, go find me a Puka. Fine. Good. Bring him in here. But the receivers coming out now, they can have impact in year one. Can you find a guy like that late in the second round? I don't know. Could you trade up? Could you put all your eggs in a basket to go back up and get a first-round pick? Oh, man.
How about Newsome in our second?
Would you trade a 1 next year to get a 1 this year to go get a receiver? I would. The receiving class this year doesn't seem to be as deep as it's been in the past.
Yeah, of course I would.
I would.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Look, just play this out for a second. Would you give some team, and a relative, let's say somewhere in the 20s, right? You're not getting Malik Neighbors. You're not getting one of these top receivers. I would trade next year's 1 for a 1 this year to get a receiver on the field this year. If a guy was falling, I'm not scratching that. I think there's a real world that could happen.
But you'd have to give up more than just your one.
1 in a 3. 1 in a 3. For a 20 pick, somebody would probably do that deal. We see trades in the 20s in the first round all the time. A 1 in a 3, yeah, maybe you throw Greg Newsome in there. I don't know. You trade him for a 2 if you can get a 2 for him. I don't know. I'm thinking more 3. But that's another move. That's more money coming off too. It's a lot. But hearing Deshaun Watson make the pitch to T. Higgins has only kind of opened the floodgates for me and reminded me that is it for me. That is all that I really care about this offseason. I'd like Teller to stay. I'd like a deal for Nick Chubb. All these other things are great. The number one thing the Browns have got to do this offseason is find me a wide receiver. I would prefer it to be through free agency, so it's a guy that I know a little bit about. But if it's through the draft and you can get it in that first round, I would do that. I would absolutely do that for the Cleveland Browns. Well, speaking of Cleveland, Ryan, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Nice win the other night.
Yeah, very nice win.
I tweeted this. With the stretch that the Cavs went on this month, it changed my view on what we would have for Boston, Philadelphia, and Milwaukee in a 7-game series. Bro, all Friday night did for me was prove it to an nth degree that you could make that a series. Yeah, you want to say that it was a bit of a laydown from the Bucks, or maybe they weren't. Dude, Giannis played. That's all I care about. That's all that I care about. He was in that game. You took it to him. You got to win, and you got another opportunity. Because, Ryan, did you know? As hot as the Cavs are, they were not the best team this past month in the NBA. You know who were? The LA Clippers. They were hot, and now they're back in town tonight. Do we have our boost? Is it ready to go?
I don't.
All right, we'll get it up.
No, not yet.
All right, well, folks, we're going to do our typical boost tonight. We are hot. We are riding a 2-game win streak for the Cleveland Cavaliers on our typical boost, and we will announce what our boost is later in the show. We'll get geared up on a 3-legger for the LA Clippers coming up tonight. They're in town to take on the Cavs. I don't want to say maybe have a little fear, but I do wonder if they're going to get one of those injury type of games tonight. Have we seen the injury report for any of these for the Clippers?
I have not looked.
All right. We got to see. Because tonight smells of a game that they might sit one of their guys. So we'll take a look at that with the Clippers coming up. We'll talk more Cavs a little bit later in the show as well as we get our boost up and ready to go. Let's catch our break. We come back. We're going to go around the league, recap the championship games yesterday. We got the 49ers and the Chiefs. That's a damn good Super Bowl right there. The Ravens faltering. What does that mean over there for the Detroit Lions? And who's got control of the AFC over the next 5 years? We'll discuss that all coming up. Folks, typical, I mentioned it, dude, we're smoking hot right now for the fact of that Ryan and I have hit 2 straight Cavs boosts. Then yesterday, our big play boost was sending the Ravens on home with a Travis Kelce anytime touchdown and the Chiefs to win. We cashed that too, Ryan.
Dude, Tipico's just printing big play Dave money.
It's
unbelievable.
Insane right now.
I don't know why I just don't tail every single bet he does.
Oh,
but if he's listening, he should thank me because the second I tail it, it's not hitting.
Well, depending on what you bet, because it's all relative. They said if you bet $100 on each of those, you're well over $1,000. I'll just put it in my parlay or in my parlays. Well, Ryan, then maybe you need to make the self-sacrifice here. Do you really believe that? Do you really believe in the juju of betting?
Yes.
Do you really?
Why? Like, it's been
Bet with us tonight on our Typico boost, then. It'll hit.
Okay.
It'll hit, and you'll
Okay.
get back on the train.
All right. I hope.
Just on $10 bets, I'm over $150 up. Just on the past couple of days.
I'm telling you, I went in the NFL just 1 week. I don't bet it. I go like 8-3. I bet. I put $100 in. I said, okay, I'm gonna put $10 on each game. I went 0 for 10.
You got to get back on the saddle, man.
When I say, I don't think you understand how improbable
Aerosmith,
that is.
baby.
I think that's harder to do than to go 10 for 10, 0 for 10.
Oh, sure, yeah.
How is that possible?
I don't know.
So
I'm gonna get back up on the horse. Come on, you got kicked in the teeth. We need no negativity right here on our booth.
I'm gonna sit here and
You're
believe
gonna bet
damn
the booth.
right.
I will give you $10 and you can put that down. How about that? What if I give you $10 and you use my money?
It's still not gonna hit.
What? It's my money.
But they know
we gotta flip this. We gotta flip the mojo right now.
I'm just saying,
You better bet this tonight. I'm gonna be mad if you don't bet it.
Although, see,
this
this is exactly what happened, Matt. What did I say? I went 2 for 2 in the championship round in our picks.
Yeah,
but I didn't bet them.
Well, you're going to win tonight because we're going to hit this Cavs boost
All
tonight.
right, let's try.
Sign up with Tipico. Here's what you do. You feel like you're down like Ryan. Use the code Fontana100 when you sign up. You get $100 in bonus bets. It's bonus bets. Now, if you already signed up like Ryan is. By the way, we're working on something cool with Tipico to be able to give out some bonus bets to people that have already signed up because our code Fontana100 only works for new people. So if you've not signed up for Tipico yet, deposit and bet $25. Use the code Fontana100 when you sign up. You get $100 in bonus bets. That's for new people. There are a lot of people who watch our show and listen. They go, Matt, I already signed up with you. Good. We got some new things coming for just you. But if you are already signed up, the rewards program, which by the way, Ryan, when I place my bet tonight on Tipico for the Cavs game, I will hit the first reward threshold, and I will get some bonus bets to use. Then the flex parlay, we talked about that with Sonny from Tipico on Friday. You can do a 4, 5, 6 leg. Can I tell you about the parlay that I hit or missed yesterday? I had a 6-leg parlay. I missed on just one. That's where I would have loved the flex parlay. I would have hit. The flex parlay works like this. Lay out 5, 6 legs. You only want 4 of the 6 to hit? All right, well, here are your odds. You're still a winner if they hit. Doesn't matter which of the 4. I would have hit. I would have hit. Kicking myself. I should have done the flex parlay. Folks, Tipico's got it, man. They got it. And again, I don't know, they don't like they saying this. They're handing out money to our fans right now because we are hitting on these boosts. We got another one lined up for tonight. Get geared up. Fontana 100 when you sign up with Tipico. Get ready to go for our Cavs boost tonight. We'll reveal it. What can I do to change? I feel like you're so down on this right now. I need you to change.
I'm telling you, if I put money on something, it doesn't hit.
No.
Yes,
That
Matt.
has nothing to do with it. That has nothing to do with it, Ryan. Nothing.
There's been over a year now of evidence.
What if I tell you that tonight's boost is going... Did you put money on our boost last week when they hit?
No. I
Really?
forgot. I missed it.
I'm guaranteeing
This
you.
is why it hit.
I'm guaranteeing you. I'm putting this out there that I guarantee you that our boost is going to hit tonight and you're going to bet on it.
Okay.
You're going to bet on it. You're going to
Okay.
put $10 on it.
I don't think the Cavs fans want me to do that.
Why?
Because it's going to lose.
We need you back in, buddy. We need you back on board here.
All right, but it's all right.
You're
All right.
in.
All right.
You're in. $10. When they post it, you better put the $10 down.
All right.
I will give you $10.
All right.
$10
We'll figure it
of
out.
my money that you're
We'll
betting.
figure it out. All right.
$10. That's it on our boost, which by our early results should be around what, plus 400 maybe?
Yeah, about.
Maybe. All right. That's a nice, easy one, Ryan. This is no 800 that
Probably
we hit.
more, probably 450.
Probably 450. Come on now. Come on now. I got you. I got you covered.
All right.
We're good.
All right.
We're good on our Cavs boost.
This is going to be the straw that breaks my back.
Nope, we got it. We're going to hit it a little bit later in the show. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about the AFC, NFC championship games. We'll get into some more of the Browns and our Cavs boost. Stay with us. Fontana right here on Big Play. right, it's time to go around the league in a short one. We only got 2 games. Championship, Super Bowl set. 49ers, Chiefs, just as we kind of all predicted. Let's get into it. Around the league. Welcome back. Fontana Show right here on Big Play, streaming live. We're on Twitter, X. We're also up on YouTube at Fontana Show and Big Play. And our new venture is over on Twitch. Follow us at Matt Fontana Show right there on Twitch. But we start AFC Championship. Ho-hum, the Kansas City Chiefs. Were you rooting in that game for KC or Baltimore, right? Because I know there were so many Browns fans that I had that said, listen, we will never root for Baltimore. And I said this. I hate the Ravens. I respect Lamar Jackson. I actually really like Lamar Jackson. I think he's a great person. I think he's a great football player. I respect John Harbaugh a lot. I hate the Ravens. Not more than Michigan, but close. They're the only team that's in the same realm for me. So I never want them to win, but then also there's the other side of Kansas City, and they can be super annoying, right? Everybody's jumping on what people say about Taylor Swift. They're like, oh my God, I don't want to watch her. They don't watch the games, man. I don't know what to tell you. There are so many people that are just, frankly, out of tune, and I'm not going to tell you to watch things. And we all see the tweets. It's the hot thing, right? It's the anti-Taylor Swift crew. It's the new thing to be trendy and cool about. What does it bother you in the least that they show her for 4 seconds every couple of minutes? What does that matter, okay? It's just taken away from your football viewing play. I'll tell you what, you want a new broadcast that'll make $1 billion? Well, not really, because I don't think there's as big of a group. Go make the anti-Taylor Swift broadcast. You know, they got the film room, they got the Manning cast. Go do a broadcast they don't show Taylor Swift. You'll have 10 people in there watching it. That's just fine. It's so overblown. Did you see Kelsey in pregame, too? Talking that crap, man? Throwing Justin Tucker's balls in his helmet? Not those balls, no. He was that smack was there. For the Baltimore Ravens, the question remains Lamar Jackson. When you only have him, Zay Flowers fumbles. You talk about needing another wide receiver. You can say that about the Baltimore Ravens. Mark Andrews did not look like himself, clearly, obviously, coming off that injury. And the fumble was a big part of it, sure. But I looked at that game, like Kansas City just felt like they were in control. You know, they go up 17-7 at half. They didn't score in that second half, which was kind of crazy too. But the question remains, who do you think has the lock on the AFC moving forward? Because the answer has got to be Kansas City. You count them out. You feel like they're not it. You got to remember that this all runs through them. And I'm going to remind myself of that next year. Whatever their record is, no matter who they beat in the regular season, that is a team that ascends to a different level in the playoffs. And there is an element, Ryan, that I watch how they played over the last month or so and wonder, dude, were they giving everybody the big oopty here? Were they running stuff? Because, all of a sudden, Kelsey's back. You know, here we are. Oh, my God, he didn't get 1,000 yards. And, yeah, he was banged up. I really think Andy Reid did the best banana in the tailpipe that you could ever see. Where he goes, watch us do this. Watch this. You ready? We're not going to throw it to Kelsey anymore. We're going to throw to some of these other receivers. We're going to try to do this. We'll lull everybody else into this false sense of security and watch us show up in the playoffs and go back to doing what we're doing. It's also a good reminder that game is the perfect microcosm of your quarterbacks. You had Patrick Mahomes go out there. He only threw for the 1 touchdown. But you had Lamar Jackson, who they sacked 4 times in that game. You got that interception. People are really starting to, I don't know about unfairly, they're starting to zero in on Lamar. And what do you have now in the AFC? You have 2 quarterbacks that should be premier in Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. What's the stink on them? Oh, they can't play in the playoffs. They don't show up in the playoffs. Am I wrong for saying that? Because, I look at that game, Ryan, I want to say the Chiefs dominated them. You know, I don't want to say that the Chiefs, throttled them by any stretch of the imagination. It was a close game. I will say it was a fun game to watch. But, would you say that Kansas City is the juggernaut that I'm kind of making them out to be?
Yeah, I mean, they're the greatest thing since the Patriots and Tom Brady. I mean, it's kind of hard because it's not a cakewalk. I mean, they beat Miami, Buffalo, Baltimore, and now they're going to have to go through the 49ers. So if they get another ring, I mean, Patrick Mahomes is we're already talking about top 5 quarterbacks all time before he hits age 30, which is just ridiculous.
But that's what I'm saying. It's not like they're doing this in a blowout fashion, or they're just running away with games like that.
It's the fact that, yeah, it's amazing what happens when you actually get pressure on the quarterback, taking a shot at the Browns here. But I mean, it's tough. It's just stupid how stacked the AFC is, and it's annoying because you go look at the NFC. I mean, kudos to Detroit and kudos to teams like the Packers, but like, there's a chance realistically they were a first-round bounce in the AFC, which is crazy to think about how stacked the AFC is. But yeah, absolutely. Nobody's even close to Kansas City on the level. They could win the next 3 Super Bowls probably. Patrick Mahomes isn't going to all of a sudden just decline. He's not even 30 yet, and Travis is still doing, which is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. The fact that he can just disappear relative for Travis Kelce in the regular season and then average, a touchdown and a half a game in the playoffs. It's stupid. It makes no sense to me, and I hate it.
That's how good he is.
I hate it. I hate
really
it.
think,
because dude,
I think the Chiefs were screwing with people. I really do.
what does the NFL need? Oh, they're like, oh, don't worry, like we'll still let you guys go to the Super Bowl.
You know, Raj.
But
he
we'll
is
still let you
sitting
go
there
to the
going,
Super Bowl.
yes, thank you, God.
Pat, sorry, you can't dominate. You can have the best regular season ever in the NFL, even though you probably could. Sorry, we got to have you tone it down a little bit so we can have these other teams show up and we can make the NFL money.
But
then as soon as you
get
Taylor Swift in there, scrap the script, scrapped it, burn it. Kansas City's going to the Super Bowl again. And if you bet on the Niners, you're an idiot.
$300 million is what she has meant to the Kansas City Chiefs in the NFL. And what did I tell you on Friday about the referee? Warren Sharp had that article and people called him nuts that Sean Smith and his crew were the most favorable road refereeing crew in the NFL, and lo and behold. Now, I'm not saying that some of those fouls weren't warranted, but you had Kyle Van Noy with that unnecessary roughness, right, when he hit Kelce. Then you had this roughness. Like, there was a clear difference there. There really was. Tell me that didn't factor into that game. In a one-score game, there were some crucial calls.
Oh, they were the way
really were.
They were the way better.
So that's why I felt good about that. I took KC on the money line. I took him on our boost. I took him on another one, too, on the money line, and they get it done. Let's talk about Baltimore for a second. And maybe this is me projecting. Dude, they might have a real turn down coming up here.
They're gonna.
If Mike McDonald leaves for that Washington job, because you saw that defense, dude, Kyle Hamilton is so good. So very good. Patrick Queen, who had a bad call in that game, too. I really thought they were going to throw that flag on Patrick Queen. They ended up throwing on Van Noy. Queen, Roquan Smith, all that kind of stuff. Mike McDonald, it sounds like he's taking that Washington job, is he not?
I think he'll be gone.
So, what's Baltimore do? What does Baltimore do this offseason? And I can't tell you what I think that level of pressure is going to be on Lamar Jackson. I already know it. I can already see it from Baltimore fans. That is he that guy you're just good enough. You don't ever want to be that as quarterback. You're just good enough to make the playoffs. You're just good enough to get to the AFC Championship game. That doesn't fly very much there. It's a bad pun because they're the Ravens, and I apologize. That stuff only goes so far there. I think things are starting to get a little squeezed up there in Baltimore. Do they start looking at John Harbaugh like they look at Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh? They start sitting there saying, all right, we're getting there, but we haven't made it to the championship in quite some time. I think this could be a real dicey offseason there for the Ravens, and I'd welcome it.
Good.
Get them out of there, man. I'd love it if Ohio ran the AFC North. Let the Bengals and the Browns fight it out here. I think it's a pivotal offseason for the Baltimore Ravens. Final thing on Kansas City, though. When you look at KC, do you factor in how impressive it is that they keep missing people or Eric Bieniemy leaves and everybody thinks, okay, they're not going to do it. Like Tyreek Hill keeps doing it. And, bro, they keep going back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They just keep going back.
Am I shocked? No.
Well, here's my fear on tying it back to the Browns. That you might not be able to do anything as long as Patrick Mahomes is still playing at this level. And that's a scary thought. I'm not saying they're perfect. I'm not saying they're impervious. Even before the game, what happened? They lost Willie Gay, their linebacker. He was the spy on Lamar Jackson. Held him to 10 points. He held him to 10 points. KC is awfully scary. You flip it over to the NFC Championship, and I guess Kyle Shanahan righting a few wrongs from his time with the Atlanta Falcons, because this time he pulls off the comeback. 17 points. It's San Francisco, 34-31 over the Detroit Lions. What a turn that game was on the fumble. And the thing is, a lot of people are jumping on this. God, I should have saved the tweet, and I apologize. They were able to, with all these advanced metrics, they were able to look at the point differential like what points meant on this fumble or this play. And the one fumble that was Jahmyr Gibbs that people look at and they say that was like a 5.5 point swing. But then you add up all these other ones, Dan Campbell, who we'll talk about in just a second, all these other ones to say, yeah, the Jahmyr Gibbs one hurt, but it was not even some of the biggest mistakes that they made. I don't blame Dan Campbell. I don't blame him. If that's what got you here, if that's how you operated, you got to dance with who brung you, right? He was going to go for it there. And yes, Josh Reynolds flatly out dropped that ball, dropped the other one later too. Should have had it. You didn't. And you fall in the game. But I don't blame Dan Campbell for that. That's what you did. That's what you wanted to ride with, and I think it continues to set up what your mindset is with the Detroit Lions. The other thing, Dan Campbell was already the mayor of Detroit. Okay, he was playing borderline with house money yesterday. Nobody would bat an eye if you lost to the San Francisco 49ers on the road, which, by the way, I saw a lot of powder blue in that stadium, a lot of Lions fans. You were on the road against the 49ers, and you lost. That is acceptable, in my opinion, if you were a Lions fan. Now, if I told you that you were up 17 and you choke that away, it might be a little bit different. But I still look at it from this standpoint. I don't think Detroit wakes up this morning trying to fire Dan Campbell. There are people that are probably angry and upset. I don't know how you could be. You were in the NFC Championship game, and you had to look at it. And it went bad, and you can look at this fumble here or this mistake here or this or that, whatever. I still think Dan Campbell's in good standing there with Detroit. Now, the thing is, for the Lions, I was kind of reminded in that game of, like, how in the hell were they there? How did they get there? And I know David Montgomery scored that touchdown, and he was fine. Sam Laporte is a beast. But, like, the semblance of the players, they should have been outclassed left and right in that game. When you just look at rosters, do you see that stat that they put on the broadcast of championship games played? On the 49ers side, it was 73 amongst all the players that were on their roster. The amount of championship games that their roster had played, 73 for the 49ers, 3 for the Detroit Lions. That was it going into that game last night. So I would still feel really good if you're the Detroit Lions. And I got to say, I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of a Lions fan. I'm not upset with what Dan Campbell did. It's what you got to do to try to win that game. Now, the San Francisco 49ers. That, dude, when you talk about a borderline team of destiny, tell me I'm not going to be picking the 49ers in 2 weeks for the Super Bowl, Ryan.
I hope not.
Why not?
What? Well, Kansas City's going to win.
You sure?
Yes, I'm positive. Right.
Coming from the guy I said he was, or you're not going to bet on it, right?
I probably will, and I'll lose money.
You got to bet on the Super Bowl. It's the Super Bowl. Come on now.
But no, I mean, Kansas City's going to win. It's
scripted. Come on,
it's
man.
It's scripted.
Watch the 49ers.
Watch
them play.
Watch them go down 17 in the Lions.
And then watch them turn it around
them barely
in
beat the Packers.
Seconds.
Not buying it.
That team looks unstoppable. That team.
Do they though?
Yeah.
For half of football, maybe.
But that's the scarier thing is I put more credit into a win like that than if you were up 35-0.
Yeah,
if they'd have smoked the Lions 35-0 as opposed to what they did yesterday, I learned more and think it's more impressive of what they did yesterday. They, for that second half, were unstoppable. Unstoppable. And said, we're going to go down and win this football game. That's a scary team to deal with. That is scary. And then, you look at Christian McCaffrey and Kittle and all these guys, dude. That is nuts. That is absolutely insane. And then again, they're not even getting good games out of George Kittle. 2 receptions, 27 yards. That's it. I am super impressed with what the 49ers did yesterday.
See, I'm kind of indifferent. Like, I was higher on him earlier in the season than I am. I mean, it's all relative. A playoff game is a playoff game. Like, even if you win by the skin of your teeth, it's a good win because you move on to the ultimate goal of the Super Bowl, obviously. I don't know, Matt. It's like, I mean, Christian McCaffrey should win MVP. Like, he's
insane.
He's absolutely insane. He's a true, like, just game changer. And that's not that common for the running back position. Obviously, we know that.
Last one, Adrian Peterson.
I don't know, dude. Like, it's just, how am I going to sit here and not bet a house on Patrick Mahomes?
I will tell you this, right, that I saw the line. It moved like 4 times since yesterday, right? Did I see some at, what is it?
It was like 2.5 or 3.5.
So I saw it. I got it down to 1. I saw some things up to 3.5.
Patrick Mahomes is the greatest underdog in sports.
I know that, and that's the thing. I do believe that you are getting the 2 hottest teams in football right now, which is kind of what you want. Their star power, it's almost like it's exactly what the NFL wanted. To your point about it being scripted or not, the NFL got exactly what they wanted. They got the 49ers team that was viewed as the best. Not every year.
Yes, they do.
They didn't want Eagles to go last year.
Why not?
I guess the Eagles were okay. By the way, we'll get to that in Time Hop coming up in just a little bit too. They got exactly what they wanted. You had the best team. Would you say the 49ers for the good chunk of the season were the best team in football?
On paper, yeah.
Okay. And then you got Taylor Swift. Exactly. You got exactly what the NFL wanted.
Yeah.
What does the NFL want?
Funny how it works that way.
I think they want the 49ers. I think they want the best team through and through to get it done. Because then, all right, follow me on this.
But then
to your conspiracy theory scripted thing.
But realistically, how are the 49ers better than the Chiefs? Record-wise is the only way you can say that.
No, I think they have better skill players.
Do they, though?
They have the better court. So, and we'll do this on that. You want to do the Friday report card next week? We'll do a special edition on it.
Because, I mean, you could, maybe receiver and obviously it's Christian McCaffrey, but I mean.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Their receivers, okay, so here's what Kansas City has. They have the quarterback and the tight end. Now, Kittle is very close to Kelsey.
And defense.
And there is no world that Kansas City's receivers can even hold a candle to the receivers they have. And then Christian McCaffrey's head and shoulders above of Isaiah Pacheco. And then I look at the defense and I say the 49ers defense is better.
No.
Yeah.
No. How can you even say that?
And I know the Chiefs defense is very good.
Let's not no, we're not going past that. How are they better than the Chiefs?
I would take the 49ers defense over the Chiefs defense.
But what
I would
that we've seen in the last few weeks would make you say that?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to look at it and tell me what, they just gave up 31 points there to the Detroit Lions, and Kansas City's defense held Baltimore to 10.
On the road.
And then again, what they did against the Packers, sure, fine. I guess I will fully admit I'm a little roster heavy on this, where I go, oh my God, here's Drake Greenlaw, here's Nick Bosa, here's this, that. Now, the secondary for the 49ers is pretty bad. It's not good. And I would say the secondary might be a little bit better over there for Kansas City.
Absolutely.
And I'm not discrediting what the Kansas City defense has done either. They've been really incredible. All right, I'm looking this up. Yards per game. Browns, number 1. Number 2, Kansas City Chiefs. The 49ers were 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They were 8th. So 2 versus 8.
Remember that stat I told you?
What?
Yesterday? Or Friday?
Friday?
Kansas City, the number 1 and number 2 teams in scoring defenses, when they meet in the championship round, that was the Baltimore Ravens and Kansas City Chiefs. 5 out of 5 times they've gone on to win the Super Bowl.
All right.
It's going to be 6 with Taylor Swift there.
Taylor Swift there. Best points per game, as you said, 1-2. Kansas City. And this time, so Baltimore finished the season number 1, Kansas City 2, San Francisco was 3. So I guess I would just lean there a little bit on the 49ers, but the Super Bowl is set and we're ready to go. All right, let's catch our break. We're going to do the morning update. We'll head on around a homecoming, which I'm very happy to say about the Cleveland Guardians. We'll get to that coming up. We got to get to our Cavs boost. We'll get to that coming up in about 15 minutes. We got a time-up bracket. We got it all for you right here on Big Play. And folks, don't forget, Monday's our biggest day here at Big Play. We kick things off 9 to 11. Then tonight, Hanford-Dixon show. You got the Big Play Cleveland show. And, of course, come get some with Blake and Greg Woods. We got to ask Coach Greg and Blake who they think the better defense would be. I'm sure they'll talk about that tonight. And, of course, the primer for the Super Bowl next week. We got it all for you here on Big Play, folks. Don't forget our new Bengals show on Tuesdays with James Rapine. Enter the Jungle. It's all there. Big Play's where you need it. Follow us on Twitter. It's the easiest thing to do. Follow us on Twitter, Big Play, YouTube channel, Big Play, BigPlay.com. Got some big things coming this year in 2024 as well. I'm really excited about where we're going here in Big Play, folks. So drop us a follow. You can see all of our shows, all of our great content. It's all right there with Big Play. Got the morning update. I'd go for a chocolate chip cookie this morning, Ryan, because he has returned. God, I hope he makes the roster. We'll talk about it next. Stay with us. Let's get to it. The morning update, all the stories you got to know, and a very important one on a bit of a homecoming. I know I still got to make the Major League roster, but we'll get to that coming up. We got Browns. We got a little Cavs. We got it all. Ryan, take it away on Monday.
All right, Matt. Well, an exciting day for us Cavs fans. The long 6-week awaited return of one Evan Mobley tonight against the Clippers, and I believe they said something about like a 20-minute restriction.
That sounds good to me.
Which isn't very surprising, but Matt, I was a little surprised myself. I thought, and I think many people thought, it was going to be Darius Garland who was going to return first.
That is actually, I mean, again, we were all just conditioned because a broken jaw, a broken bone, you're like, okay, that'll heal eventually. These hamstrings, the knee is what he had. He had surgery. And I'm like, okay, fine. The thing is, I want to see what that looks like. A bit on the minute restriction, but also, do you start him on the bench, which is like an oxymoron because I said start on the bench. Like, do you put him on the bench and say, hey, man, you're unlimited? I'm not trying to stir this pot up. I really am not. It's just a matter of fact. What are the Cavs going to do when Evan Mobley and Darius Garland are fully healthy? How can they continue to capture the magic that they've had, and what do they look like with certain lineups out on the court and different things? Get a little look on that. And the problem is, Evan Mobley's coming off missing a month of basketball. I'm not expecting him to be ready to go. That's the other thing. You know, Mobley, like, we didn't hear he was even ramping up. Like, Darius Garland, we heard, okay, he was cleared for these drills, or he was cleared to start doing this. Like, all of a sudden, it's just, and shout out to Chris Fedor, Cleveland.com. Chris sends it out. He goes, hey, man, Evan Mobley might come back Monday night. Now, again, I want to say it's trending towards he's going to get the medical clearance to go tonight. Give him that 20-minute restriction. Again, I would put him on the bench just to begin things, slowly integrate him back in the game, and see how it goes. Now, I still want the Cavs to get a win tonight. And so I'm looking at this, too. In their span, that 14-4 record is second best in the league in that span. I believe only behind the LA Clippers. That is correct on that. They were six. So in this span of the 16th of December to the last game they played yesterday, which again, the Clippers played the night before. They played Saturday. In that stretch, how about this? You want to dive into some of the stats? Maybe help us for our parlay to go for tonight? In that stretch, the Clippers played 20 games. The Cavs played 18. They went 16-4. We went 14-4. They averaged 122 points per game. We averaged 119 points per game. They shot 42% from behind the arc. We shot 37% from behind the arc. Opponents, or actually, let's look at rebounding. Ooh. Did we put We did. We put Donovan Mitchell rebounding them. We've out-rebounded them in that stretch. 46.5 to 42.5. I wanted to look at defense here if I could find it. But anyway, you have the two hottest teams in basketball going at it right now. But again, 14-4 without those guys on the court is that's super impressive. That's great. Again, how they ease him back in, use that minute restriction, but use this as a time to learn a little bit. Use this as some time to see what it looks like with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley split up a little bit. I'm excited for the game tonight. We'll get to our boost coming up a little bit later with Typico.
Well, a homecoming for sure for a fan favorite. The Guardians signed pitcher Carlos Cookie Carrasco to a minor league deal, Matt. And I know you, me, and many, many Guardians fans are going to hope that he makes that team.
I do too. And we know, I'm preparing for what should be a down year for the Guards, and I hope I'm wrong. I think there's a spot for him on the Major League rotation. I do. And I won't sit here and try to say, okay, you got Bieber, and if Tristan McKenzie could come back, okay, then you got Cal Quantrill. He's gone, and then you got. I think there's a spot for Cookie Carrasco to make the team, and I really hope he does. Do you know why he has the nickname Cookie?
I don't.
Well, part of it is when he first got to America, he couldn't speak English, so he only knew how to order pizza, and he would always get cookies with it. And that's how he got the name Cookie Carrasco. So I love him. He's the best. Everybody does. I'm happy to see him back. And I think there's a chance he makes the roster. I do.
Well, we talked about this morning, Matt, but this might be the biggest Cleveland Browns news we get for quite some time as we head into this long stretch of the offseason. But we have a new offensive coordinator. The Browns hire our old friend and former quarterback, Ken Dorsey. He's going to replace Alex Van Pelt. And a lot of fans, Matt, in our poll we did this morning, don't love it, but they don't hate it. They feel a bit indifferent.
Do you have the updated results of that poll? So we asked everybody this morning, how do you feel about the Browns hiring Ken Dorsey? Early results, Ryan?
Very, very heavily indifferent. 76.4, followed by 15.7% love it. Just 7.9% hate it. That's 178 votes.
That's. I mean, again, I look at it from this standpoint. If Kevin Stefanski, if the main goal, number one, is to get Deshaun Watson right, but for Kevin Stefanski to retain play calling, which was also important to me, I'm going to have to live with it. Now, the question that I have with Dorsey, and the Browns have this answer, but I don't. What does he bring, right? You moved on from Alex Van Pelt, who ironically is interviewing with Tampa Bay this morning. Maybe he can fix Baker Mayfield again, although Baker wasn't all that broken last year. You made this move. You moved on from Alex Van Pelt because they didn't like the direction that they were going. They didn't like what they were seeing. So with Ken Dorsey, what is he bringing? What is he bringing to the table? I don't have the answer to that question. You don't have the answer to that question. And maybe to a point the Browns don't, because you got to start playing some games to figure that kind of stuff out. I would imagine that, again, reportedly the interview is what blew them away. So maybe he's got some harebrained idea and he's got some perfect formula of exactly what the Browns are missing. And that's what got him the job. Fantastic. I'm all for it. The thing is, we're going to ask ourselves this question over and over and over again. And we'll hear from Ken Dorsey at minicamp, and we'll ask him all these questions on this, and we'll ask Kevin Stefanski at the combine. None of that is going to wet your whistle. None of that will actually give you what you want until we see it. Even, dude, I can't wait for this. in preseason. There will be people saying, oh, there's the Ken Dorsey influence. There it is. Ready to go. Get all hooked on preseason football again. We're going to have to wait to see what it is. Okay. You know that they can never answer this question. They never will. Was he their number one target?
Nope.
I would tend to think the same thing. Now,
100% was
that doesn't always have to be a bad thing. There's some serendipitous things that happen. What movie was that from? Oh, Boondock Saints. 2, actually. Not great, but it is what it is. The first one is amazing. You ever seen the first Boondock Saints?
No.
I will give it to you. I got to have a DVD. Do you have a DVD player at your house?
No.
You got an Xbox?
I have a PlayStation.
Does it have a disc drive?
Yeah, it does.
Well, there you go. You can watch Boondock Saints. I'll bring it forward. Great film. But anyway, there are weird things, serendipitous things that can happen where you were all in on this guy and you hired this guy and it turns out and it works out to be great. That's where I'm trying. I'm not going to put all my eggs in this basket right now. I'm not going to sit here, try to rip this or say that this is exactly what the Browns needed or not. I would have to believe that he probably was not the top hire. So what? You got him in here. If he fits the need, good. Great. Here we are.
All right, Matt. Well, Super Bowl 58 matchup is officially set. To nobody's surprise here, the Kansas City Chiefs make it out of the AFC, but the Lions were just this close after a very late collapse there. I think that is the biggest halftime comeback for a team in the NFC Championship, but now we know it's going to be a rematch of Super Bowl, I believe, 53 it was when the Chiefs beat the 49ers in that one.
I mean, that's the thing, and we'll go through this coming up in a little bit. The biggest questions, matchups to know, early prediction for the Super Bowl coming up, which I think is going to be a lot of fun as we run through all that. It's kind of what I wanted. As a general fan, as a fan that places some wagers with our friends at Tipico using the code Fontana 100, I had rooting interest in that game, and my rooting interest was the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. While the 49ers did not cover, and even didn't cover on an alternate spread that I took, but that's okay. That's kind of the Super Bowl that I wanted. And that sounds negative because there's a kindred spirit, right, between us and Detroit. And it's always been the Lions and the Browns as the two legacy teams that have never made the Super Bowl. And I will fully admit that misery loves company. So now it's both of us still. And we've been to AFC Championship games and lost. They've been to NFC Championship games and lost. And here we still sit. Would the Lions have really done it for me in the championship? I don't know. Like, Ryan, picture a world that it was the Chiefs and the Lions. Would you not be as excited? There's no way I'd be as excited for the 49ers and the Chiefs as it would be if it was the Lions and the Chiefs. I'm sorry.
See, I disagree. I'd be more excited with the Lions.
I don't think so.
I would be.
I wouldn't be.
They beat them week 1.
I know, and that's and the biggest pull that I have was for the fans. So therefore, in the game, would I really keep rooting for the fans? I don't know. Am I an angry Browns fan because I don't want them to go because we're not going to go?
Yes.
Is that maybe the factor here for me?
Yes.
Is that I don't want them to go have success because they're in this with us?
Yes, and a lot of people feel that way.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Where I don't care if the 49ers go and the Chiefs go, they're whatever. So I can just sit back without any Browns. But if the Lions went and won one, or even if they went, right, that was always the stat. It's just that they hadn't gone to one. Other teams have gone and lost, but maybe that's it. Maybe we finally gotten to the root of my issue. We just did a little therapy here on the show.
Yeah.
Peel the onion back.
There you go.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's why I was happy the 49ers won. I think both games lived up to the hype. They were a lot of fun to watch. Again, as I talk about being just a fan that puts $5, $10 wagers down a little bit, they were fun games. They're exactly what I wanted them to be. So it worked out, and we get the Super Bowl I think a lot of people are looking at.
All right, well, Matt, lastly here for the morning update. Have you been keeping up with this Taylor Swift AI stuff on Twitter?
I saw it.
So, it comes out after an AI...
No, wait. I saw the story. I've not seen the pictures because I'm not... I'm good, man. Thank you.
I mean, do you want me to describe it to you?
Oh, I know exactly what it is. People took AI and put Taylor Swift in some adult situations. It's... like with the deep fakes now and you could put anybody's face on anything.
But nobody cared till it was Taylor Swift.
No, but Ryan, tell me that they're...
No, I agree it's messed up and there needs to be regulations on it.
But here's the thing. We know that they're fake though, right?
Yeah.
We know that they're fake. So there are sick people that do that. That's disgusting. That really is, okay? But the thing is, there are people that see Taylor Swift all over the place, and they want to see her in that kind of situation. So what do? They get on their computer, and they make up these things. But you and I know it's fake. I know that Taylor Swift has never done the things that are in that picture. So should there be outrage? And Taylor Swift has ascended to a place where she has such a group of fans out there, rightly so, that will defend her to the nth degree, as they should. But should there be legal action against this? Like, you remember a couple of years ago when all those celebrities got hacked and there were real pictures that got leaked out? That is a legal standpoint. That guy is in jail because he hacked these people. These are fakes. I know they're fakes. I know they're not real. So I'm glad they took them down. I agree. I think they should be taken down because they know they're not real. That's the scary part of our society, though, is eventually they're going to get so good that you're not going to be able to tell. And maybe even to the point of, like, I take Taylor Swift out of this because I don't want this to be the example that I'm about to give. So take T Swift out of this for a second. Imagine if it was somebody else in that situation, but the pictures were real. And then they just come out with, oh, no, wait. They're just deep fakes. They're just fakes. No, somebody made those on their computer. In reality, they were real. There's going to be the blurring of those lines. And that is the world that we live in. That is where we're at today, where you can't even believe some of the things that you see anymore. We all know there was times you couldn't believe everything you read and you heard. But now, I look at pictures, and again, I look at them. I don't want to look at them. There are pictures out there that I see with my own eyes, and I go, wait a minute, those are fakes. Those aren't real. There's no way. And they got taken down. I'm assuming there's going to be some legal recourse out there. But you're right. It took somebody like Taylor Swift, who has this groundswell of fans that will defend her. And I'm not saying they're wrong for that at all. But, like, yeah, man, you can't mess with Taylor Swift right now.
The FBI needs to hire, like, a Swiftie unit or something, because these people are literally, like, tracking these people down that post. He's like finding their IP
they're
address.
finding them.
They're they're like calling their employers and their wives and stuff. I mean, it's crazy.
And listen, I don't think to a point, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Where I have long maintained this, you start telling people they got to put their address down on their social media accounts. Because social media, when it all started, Ryan, you've heard of MySpace. I had a MySpace, right? And that was the infancy of it all. And then you got Facebook. The thing about Facebook was you only had one at a point because you had to use a college. Dude, I'm this old. You only had Facebook if you had a college email. You had to be attending a university or college.
At first, it was even just Harvard.
Right. That's how Facebook got started. Then, so
great movie.
Yeah, it was an okay movie. It wasn't bad.
Great movie.
So the point was I could only get one email from Baldwin Wallace University. I couldn't get a second. So therefore, I only ever had one Facebook. Now, all it takes is me creating emails over and over and over and over again to create social media accounts over and over and over and over and over again. And you have a social media account that's for professional or personal. All of that stuff is fine. Start making people put their address on that. And I'm not saying that it should get blasted out, but when you start doing things that you shouldn't do, then you start having some accountability. The number one issue with Facebook and Twitter and Snapchat and Instagram and all this other, when it comes to one level of it, there's no accountability. All you do is get your account deleted and you just create a new one. And then you're on there telling these athletes to go kill themselves, or you're on there being a predator to people. You're creating these fake things. Have some accountability. I stand by the things that I say. I only have one Twitter account. I have the Instagram account professional at Matt Fontana ESPN, and I've got a personal Instagram. Please do not send me a request. You ain't getting in. I shut that down a long time ago.
What if I request you?
You can do it. Honestly, you want to know why? I don't mind telling this story. I had it open for a long time, and I posted pictures of my family, and somebody took a picture of my dad. And they made a comment, a nasty comment. I said, that's fine. You just shut it down for everybody. So I limit what I post of my family and protect my kids. My kids are 2 and 7 months old, okay? And I posted some pictures about them from time to time, and most people are okay about it. I shut the IG down. My Facebook, I've never had open. So again, but like, let's take my Twitter. I only have one Twitter account. I own the things that I tweet. I own what I say on there. So that's unlike a lot of other people out there. And we kind of got into a tangent about this, but still, like, have some accountability for some of these things. And these people should be caught, and they should get in trouble for this. That's got to be a likeness thing, right? Like, you're taking Taylor Swift's face.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And putting it in places and positions that she doesn't want. They're going to get sued for that. They're going to fine. The thing is, now that it's a thing, it's the escalation. They're just going to keep getting these over and over and over and over again. And I think Twitter and these social media platforms are the right thing. They should shut these down. They should not be allowed on these platforms. The problem is that it'll still get posted to Reddit, or it'll still get posted to somewhere, that people can go find it. I mean, again, there are just people. I really don't have an interest for it. I think Taylor Swift is very attractive. I don't know if she does it quite for me. I really don't have an interest in that. Don't really have an interest in it. And especially knowing that there's a moral element to that. There's a moral element of that. If she doesn't want those pictures out there and not really her pictures, then they should be taken down. They should be taken down that quick. I don't know. It is what it is. All right, we head over to the NFL. The Super Bowl, what is this? 58. Predictions, picks, odds, but also the key matchups. So Allegiant Stadium, right now, it started at San Francisco -2.5. I seen places that's at 1. FPI has San Francisco 59%. That's an average of 3.1 points. So they feel like it's San Francisco -3. San Fran, reason for hope, experienced star power. No team in football has a bigger galaxy of stars than the Niners. They have a league-high 9 players selected to the Pro Bowl, 12 more as alternates, and 7 players who've earned first or second team All-Pro. They also have plenty of players and coaches who have participated in deep playoff runs, including 8 players who took meaningful snaps in the last Super Bowl that they were in. The reason for concern, recent history. The 49ers don't have fond memories of playing the Chiefs in a big stage. They lost to the Chiefs in their last Super Bowl appearance 4 years ago. The Niners haven't played the Chiefs since October 23rd, 2020, and they lost by 3 touchdowns that day. They've also not ever beaten Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. But none of that should prevent the 49ers from turning the tables. You flip it over for Kansas City. Their reason for hope, Patrick Mahomes. He isn't his best in the playoffs. In his past 6 postseason games, he's completed 70% of his passes with an average of 7 yards per attempt and 11 touchdowns. You want the stat that's going to blow your mind this morning, Ryan?
It probably won't, but yeah, go for it.
In 6 postseason games, his last 6 postseason games, he has not thrown an interception. That's pretty impressive. There it is. Reason for concern, sloppy offensive play. The Chiefs during the regular season led the league in drop passes. They were second in penalties, offensive penalties, and tied for 7th in turnovers. I think that is certainly an important part of that. Inside matchups. They talk about Nick Bolton versus Christian McCaffrey, and then Isaiah Pacheco being the X factor. The biggest questions answering each of these teams. Number 1, what's the biggest difference with Steve Wilks as the defensive coordinator for the 49ers? Because, again, you talked about yesterday, former Browns defensive coordinator. They were getting smoked, and they had to make some defensive adjustments there. They did, and they came out and they beat the Lions there in the second half. Biggest question facing the Chiefs. Did Travis Kelce take a step back in the regular season? Absolutely. But then him coming back in the postseason has been their biggest question.
Yeah, like I said, that was planned.
I think it was. I really subscribe to a little bit of a conspiracy theory on that. I do. The betting nugget from ESPN. The Chiefs are the 9th team in the past 20 years to pull off upsets in the divisional and conference championship round. But according to ESPN stats and info, 6 of those previous 8 teams went on to win the Super Bowl.
I told you.
Chiefs are 12-8 against the spread this season. The 49ers are 9-10. Since 2001, underdogs are 11-11 outright and 15-7 against the spread in the Super Bowl since 2001. Now you got me thinking.
Dude, I'm telling you.
Now you got me thinking a little bit here.
It's scripted. It's going to be like a Travis Kelce game-winning touchdown. They're going to pan to Taylor Swift, and it's going to be like the biggest thing ever.
I was all in and ready to go and just jump on this 49ers bandwagon, man. And you got me rethinking about the Chiefs just a little bit. You got me rethinking. The good news is
Usher's gonna fall sick.
I forgot about Usher. I'm excited
gonna fall
for that.
sick. Usher's gonna fall sick the night before.
I'm excited for that.
And then Taylor Swift's gonna
I'm
perform.
excited for that.
I'm serious.
Could you imagine her just walking down the stands?
I'm so serious.
Does she get down there with Usher? Does she do something with Usher? I wonder. Because Usher usually brings in, like, you know, all the halftime people. They bring in some celebrity guests. I'm shocked that T Swift is not. Maybe she will be involved. We got time to figure that out, don't we? All right, let's just catch our final break in the morning. We come back. We're jumping into timeout. Pretty jam-packed timeout. I want to wrap things up with the Cavs, including our typical boost for tonight, baby. And we will get to our bracket of the week as well. All comes your way next. Fontana Show, big play. Stay with us. Let's jump into time hop, dude. January, you turn and it's gone almost already. We're almost to February, but nonetheless, let's get into it. January 29th. Let's tell you what happened this day in history. Ryan, we don't have to go back too far. Just 1 year ago today, it was the AFC NFC Championship games. Of course, you know the Chiefs went on, but it was Brock Purdy tearing his UCL 1 year ago today, basically handing it over to the Philadelphia Eagles. They win the game and they go to the Super Bowl. Of course, the Chiefs win. But what could have been the 49ers if Purdy just hadn't hurt his elbow? But also, like, the craziness. I sent a tweet yesterday about all the quarterbacks taken ahead of Brock Purdy. And was like, what's your point? It gets really incredible. And people want to discredit Purdy. You know, And I think Kyle Shanahan, for my money, is one of the best coaches in football. And I think the system that he runs is insane. And there's an element that you can put a lot of different people in there. But some of the runs that Purdy made yesterday, some of those tight window throws, I am really impressed with watching Brock Purdy. And I think it was Dan Orlovsky or somebody made a comment that Purdy is actually running Shanahan's offense better than Matt Ryan did when he won the MVP in Atlanta under Kyle Shanahan. I don't think you can discredit what Brock Purdy has done and what he's meant to this team.
Well, I'm assuming, and I assume that you agree with my assumption, that Lamar Jackson's probably going to be the MVP.
Right.
So that would mean, I believe, Matt, the last 5 MVP quarterbacks have all led the league in passer rating. And Brock Purdy will then break that streak because he did lead the league this year in passer rating.
I mean, I think he's really good at what he does. The question is, next year, after this upcoming season, when you sit down and talk extension with him, does he realize what we all realize? Like, dude, I really shouldn't be leaving San Francisco here. And do the 49ers sit there and say, go ahead and leave. We'll find somebody else. We'll find somebody else.
Nobody's paying Brock
Everybody
Purdy.
forgets about the Trey Lance trade, too, right? Everybody just somehow doesn't matter that they completely botched
I think they
the
gave
Trey
up
Lance.
on him way too early.
I kind of agree with you.
I mean, it worked out for
But,
them,
like,
obviously. But
nobody thinks about that anymore, which is incredible about Trey Lance and where Brock Purdy is at today. 1 year ago today, he tore his UCL. This time, I think it was for good. 2 years ago today, Tom Brady announced his retirement from the NFL. We know the story that the 49ers told Brock Purdy they were trying to get Tom Brady back out of retirement. He's done. And I know people brought this up yesterday. It's probably your last game of Greg Olsen there with Kevin Burkhardt because that's going to be Brady's spot next year. I think Greg Olsen did fine.
Crap.
I thought he did okay.
I do, dude. He's way better than 90% of them, but he's not going to stay because he doesn't have the name. Oh my God, he's leagues above Tony Romo.
$375 million
He's
for Tom Brady.
Leagues
I know.
above
I'm
Tony
with you.
Romo.
Romo's he's worn out.
I'm
for
glad
me.
people are finally
Well, the
understanding.
other thing about Romo that's really starting to bother me, to go back to our prior conversation, is Taylor Swift. Like, he's really weird about it. He's really weird
he's
about it.
He's got to be ripping a flask between breaks.
And like, keeps calling him wife and Jason Kelsey, future brother. It's creepy.
He's a weirdo,
He's
dude.
kind of a weirdo. He really is. If I'm CBS, and I know they got Romo all dialed up with all that money and stuff, but like, I'd go try to get Greg Olsen. I think Greg Olsen's fine. The thing is, the name. Is Brady going to be good? I mean, obviously they believe that he's going to be for $375 million. Who's your top duo right now? You can't pick and choose. It's got to be the best duo. They're together.
So, like, they have to be together right now. I can't, pick one and one.
It's got to be together. So, Tarico Collinsworth, Buck Aikman. Certainly not Al Michaels or Kirk Herbstreit, unfortunately.
Yeah, Al Michaels kind of brings that
He's
down.
so bad.
I would say, honestly, I really enjoy Buck and Aikman.
I do, too. I think Collinsworth, Tarico might be my number one, but I think Buck and Aikman are right there, too. Burkhardt and Olsen, I just never watched them this year. I just never found myself on a lot of Fox games. And I'll tell you, I never really watched a lot of Romo Nance games this year. And then Al Michaels is just, oh my God. So bad. And then, NBC took him off the guy, whatever. Past his time. But I think Brady's done. Call me a skeptic. I'm gonna say call me a skeptic on how well he does in the booth, but we'll see. For all you Batman fans, this is a big day for me. This day, 2021, Zack Snyder announced the release date for the Snyder Cut. If you watched Justice League, it was trash. Snyder Cut's better. It's a big day for me in the Batman world. This day, 2021. This day, 2020, in 2 fell swoops. Browns hired Alex Van Pelt as their offensive coordinator. And they also parted ways with Alonzo Highsmith and Elliott Wolf. They were 2 John Dorsey kind of disciples. And Barry had gotten hired the day prior in 2021. They move on from Wolf and Highsmith. Those were 2 guys when they came here. I'm not even trying to make a bad pun, and just is what it is. I was really high on those guys. I really thought people thought Alonzo Highsmith and Elliott Wolf were like the next wave of general managers. Didn't quite turn out that way, but they were both let go this day, 2020. We go back 5 years ago today. There's a report that Anthony Davis's preferred destination was the Lakers. He would be traded there in July. It's kind of the sad thing of like any of those smaller market teams like that. Even when they draft the right guy and get the star, if you don't put people around him, they're going to leave. Anthony Davis, overrated, underrated?
Well, I don't necessarily think he's overrated, but he's certainly not underrated because
he's so good, but he's just
he can be when he turns his motor on. Turns his motor on, he's the top 5 player in the league.
Right.
But then when he's not, it's like, dude, what are you doing out there? Like, it's just it seems like it's a clear lack of effort.
I think it's more of this is LeBron's team and that's fine, and I'll just kind of play my role here. But like LeBron trying to turn it over to Anthony Davis.
He seems like a guy who's very, very okay, and it's okay to be this way. He's okay with being the Robin to a Batman,
The thing is, LeBron had always dreamed of what? Yeah, turning a team over. He wanted it to be Kyrie, and now maybe Anthony Davis.
I'll put it this way.
I think the realization is LeBron will never be able to turn a team over, ever.
Maybe outside of prime Dwayne Wade, and I think they're two very different comps. Anthony Davis, best player LeBron's ever played with.
I would go Kyrie.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Dude, prime Kyrie when he was with LeBron, I don't know, man.
No, prime AD is better.
I guess I'm looking at it from the standpoint of what helped LeBron more. Like, I think a guard is always something that would help.
Sure.
Like, the players themselves, yeah, probably AD. But Kyrie, when LeBron and Kyrie were together and synced up and playing their best, that was a hard combo to beat, man. That was a really good squad of what the Cavs had here. This day, 2018, the Indians announced that they would be dropping Chief Wahoo from all of their things. Eventually, the name would get changed. Got to accept it. I really wish they'd work on the C a little bit. I do hate that one Guardians logo, but we'll overcome it and move on about it. This day, 2015, Josh Gordon posted a letter where he admitted about his suspension of drinking alcohol. We did that last week where he was suspended. But he also said in the letter that he had not smoked marijuana since he joined the Browns in the draft. And he said he had overcome his relationship with marijuana. Always the biggest what if. Don't even know. Is he in the XFL now? I think so.
I think he was. Well, I know he was at one point.
Yeah, that's coming up soon as well. This day, 2013, the Browns introduced Ray Horton as his introductory press conference for the first time coaching the Browns defense. This day, 1980, the Cavs beat the Lakers 154-153. The reason I bring it up, Ryan, this was a quadruple overtime game, which is funny that it took quad overtime for them to score 150, and teams sometimes are doing that in the regular time now. How many quad overtime games do you think there have been in NBA history? If you had to just guess, over or under?
3.
There's been 14
quadruple
overtime games in NBA history. And in fact, the Cavs have played 2. Now, this day, 1980 is the most recent one. Do you know what the record is for the most overtimes in an NBA game?
6?
6 is correct. This day, 1951 was the last time that they had 6 overtime games. But I go back to this quad overtime game, this day, 1980. Jim Jones played in this game, but he was on the Lakers. Magic had 30. Jamal Wilkes had 23. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who played 60 minutes in this game, scored 42 for the Lakers. For the Cavs, they were led in scoring 34 from Mike Mitchell. Dave Rochebeck had 32. Kenny Carr had 23 off the bench. Austin Carr played 8 minutes but did not record a point. This team, I can't believe the Cavs won that game. Again, they won 154-153 in quadruple overtime. But they beat Magic and Kareem with Mike Mitchell and Randy Smith.
1980, I believe the Lakers won that year.
They were 37-13 at that point.
Was that not Magic's rookie year?
Might have been. 80? Yeah, you're right. There it is. So quadruple overtime this day, 1980. This day, 1936, the first class of the Baseball Hall of Fame was announced. Ty Cobb, Babe Ruth, Honus Wagner, Christy Mathewson, and Walter Johnson all inducted this day, 1936. This day, 1900, the American League was founded. Buffalo, Chicago, Cleveland, Detroit, Indianapolis, Kansas City, Milwaukee, and Minneapolis form the American League for the first time this day, 1900. And this day, 1861, Kansas joined the Union as the 34th state. Very happy birthday goes out to Olympic diver Greg Louganis, former goalie Dominic Hasek, Mark Gasol, the founder of Cleveland, Moses Cleveland, was born 1754 this day. Oprah Winfrey, Tom Selleck, Heather Graham and Sarah Gilbert, all celebrating birthdays today. All right, a couple movies for you. We start this day, 1999. This was one of the biggest chick flick 90s movies of all time. 1999 is when it was released. Brian O'Connor makes a bet with Ray from I Know What You Did Last Summer about getting a girl to become prom queen.
Oh, She's All That.
She's All That is great. Did I lay it up? Is that too easy for her?
Well, I wouldn't have got it without that last part.
Oh,
so.
making her the prom queen?
Yeah.
She's All That, this day, 1999. And then we'll go all the way back to this day, 1959. I don't really have a good one for this. All right, it's animated. It's Disney. Want to take a guess at all?
Snow White.
No, close.
Cinderella.
No, close.
Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty's correct. I got nothing. I could have said Melissa. How do you say that? Maleficent?
Maleficent?
Is that what it is? Maleficent? I don't
my
even know.
goodness.
Do you know the movie?
Yes.
The Angelina Jolie movie? I never. How do you say it again?
Maleficent.
Maleficent. I can't say it. I can't say it.
Maleficent.
Maleficent.
There you go.
Maleficent. Maleficent. Yes. This day, 1959, was Sleeping Beauty debuted right there. So there's your movies and TV shows on the day. This day in history. All right, Cavs! Do we have the boost?
I don't think it's up yet.
Check again. Just because I want to give people the number. You know what I mean? No boost. All right, do you want to tell everybody our 3 legs for tonight? Folks, we're going to do our boost on Tipico. Here's what you do. You go, download the Tipico app. Use the code Fontana100 when you sign up. You deposit and bet $25 on anything that you want, and you get $100 in bonus bets. Wouldn't those bonus bets be nice for the Super Bowl coming up if you haven't get signed up yet? And again, I'm going to tease this until we get it done. There's a chance you're going to be able to give out some bonus bets coming up over the next couple of weeks to our friends at Tipico. We're working on it. They're great to work with. But use that code Fontana100 when you sign up, and you could jump on our 3-leg parlay for tonight. Number 1, Ryan, we will go over 4 rebounds. All you got to get is 4, right? 4 or more for Donovan Mitchell rebounds. That's number 1. Number 2, 225.5 is the over-under for tonight's game. I'm going to run through your trends here in a minute. But I like the over for tonight. I kind of like it easily, to be honest with you. So we'll take the over for tonight, and our final leg of that parlay.
Isaac Okoro, over 7.5 points.
Nice. We need it. We need it tonight with Isaac. How you looking at tonight's game? I'm a little nervous, and I've been nervous about Cavs games, and they've gone out and they smoked their opponent. This is a little like the Bucks. I kind of want to see what they got. You're facing the of the stretch the Cavs have been on, the only team that's been better have been the Clippers. And you also face a team with, again, bona fide stars. I Googled this quick for the injury report, and I didn't think I saw anything. Hang on. I want to find this. Clippers injury report. Injury status for tonight. They should be good to go, right? There might be something that pops up. They might give a guy some rest or kind of come up with something, but I see. This was from the Celtics game the other night. They had 3 players in the injury report. George was listed with groin soreness, and I don't think he played in that game. Did he not?
Which one?
In the Boston game the other night. Right? Or did he play? Anyway, I think the injury report should be fine. But for tonight, I do view it a little like the Bucks game had been the last week. I want to see what they got. I want to see what they have against another top team in the NBA. Now, again, you got to do it a little bit differently because they have multiple stars and they have multiple guys you're going to have to worry about. But for tonight, I'd be lying again. I'm a little nervous to see how the Cavs play. I like our boost for tonight. I'm going to sit back and enjoy a basketball game. Even if they lose, that's fine. But then, Ryan, we get to Evan Mobley. They're going to be slow on bringing him back, right? This was knee surgery. The knees are obviously, that's something I don't really want messed with on a young player, but here we are. But I'm going to put a lot on what it looks like with and without him on the court. And that's wrong of me to do. This is his first game back if he plays tonight. There's going to be an evolution. There's going to be time to get all this figured out, sure. But I want to see it. That's the elephant in the room for the Cavs right now, is how this team looks without Donovan Mitchell, or I'm sorry, without Darius Garland and Evan Mobley mixing them in. And I get a little piece of that tonight. And I also think this is the right time. I'm so happy. Like this, you mentioned earlier, Ryan, this is like so far ahead of schedule of what we thought with Evan Mobley. So now you get some time to experiment. You get to figure out some things here with JB working on his lineup. I'm happy they're back. I'm excited. I can't wait for the game tonight.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, you're coming off your biggest win of the season against the Bucks, right? You get Evan Mobley back. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is everybody's going to be watching Mobley tonight, assuming he plays on that minute restriction. And the biggest thing is, how are they going to do that minute restriction, right? Like, are we going to see him there out there with Jared Allen, who's been playing his best basketball in a Cavs uniform as of late? I'm interested. I mean, that's, of course, going to be the biggest thing I watch. It's kind of hard to expect a win again. Like, can they really pull out that magic against an arguably even hotter team than the Bucks, even though the Bucks do technically have a better record, but not by much. This is going to be another real big test. And if we get out of here tonight with a win, I mean, that's just crazy.
You're at home, which I like. Show a little bit out tonight. I mean, you're in these conversations, which is fun, that the Cavs are at least a part of some of these games. You see how it plays out. You ready for your trends for tonight? So we start. Spread is anywhere from 2.5 to 3, depending on where you see it, where the Clippers are the road favorite tonight. I start with the trends. They are 5-0 against the spread their last 5 games. They're on a 5-game win streak. Against the Cavs, the Clippers are 10-4 against the spread their last 14 games against the Cavs, and 8-3 straight up in their last 11 games against the Cavs. But the total has hit under on 5 of the Clippers' last 6 games on the road, but the total has hit 6 of their last 9 on the over. They don't play all that well here in Cleveland, talking about the Clippers. You flip it over for the Cavs, 6-1 against the spread, their last 7, 9-1 straight up in their last 10. As I mentioned, over has hit 4 out of their last 5 games against the Clippers. Cavs are 6-0 straight up in their last 6 games at home. How about this, Ryan? Cleveland is an astounding 15-5 straight up in their last 20 games against the Clippers at home. Cavs 6-3 against the spread, their last 9 games, home game on a Monday. Don't you like the days?
Absolutely.
You buying in on that?
Sure, let's
6-3 against the spread. Their last 9 home games when played on a Monday. I know it doesn't really mean very much. But for tonight, Cavs, all eyes on them as they take on the Clippers, and we'll have a lot of fun with that tomorrow. Chance we might have Chris Manning on tomorrow to talk a little Cavs, so we'll talk to him sometime this week as we go with the Cavs. Flip it over to the Browns, wrap things up. Ken Dorsey with the hire. Let's update our Twitter question for the final time this morning, Ryan. At Matt Fontana Show on Twitter. We asked everybody, how do you feel about the Ken Dorsey hire? Staggering amount of results here. People really don't care.
Yep.
And I think that's the thing. That is a good thing. Let's not get all wrapped up in this. Let's not all sit there and say that everything is on Ken Dorsey to fix Deshaun Watson. He's a part of this puzzle. I can't get that worked up about a part of the puzzle.
Do you think we'll find out, or just what do you think? Do you think Kellen Moore probably would have chose the Browns, but they didn't want to give up play calling?
I mean, without having like direct knowledge of this, I believe that they interviewed a lot of these people to just get a sense of who they are, what they are, and maybe one of them would have taken the job had they not called plays. But I would have to believe that in all of these interviews, the question was posed, if you didn't call plays, if Kevin Stefanski called plays, would you be okay with that? And I'm sure that some of the guys said, that's a deal breaker for me. And some of the other guys might have been, well, you know what? I have that conversation, or I'll think about that. And that's kind of where you led to Ken Dorsey. I imagine you got Ken Dorsey here because he probably didn't have a lot of other job offers. And it's a negative statement. I get that. Doesn't mean that he still can't be good at his job. It doesn't mean that he still is not exactly what the Cleveland Browns need. But the thing is, the pool was always going to be limited if Stefanski was not going to give up play calling. And I didn't want him to. I want that to be clear. I've said that several times. I didn't want him to give up play calling. So I can't then be upset on who they hire. If I look through it of the lens of I wanted Kevin Stefanski to keep calling plays, then your pool was going to be limited. You pick the best out of that pool, and you move on forward. Knowing that, again, Ken Dorsey, on the list of things and people about the success of the Cleveland Browns, Ken Dorsey should not be high on that list. I'm not saying he can't be on the list. And at the end of the season, maybe he is a big reason. But it's Deshaun Watson. It's Kevin, and I'm talking about just the offense. It's Stefanski. It's Watson. It's Amari Cooper. It's getting me another receiver in here. It's David. It's all these other things. Ken Dorsey's just a cog on this wheel. You got to fill that. You needed that. And I'd be lying to you if I didn't say that my mind wanders for just a second. If they give him that quarterback coach role, which we assume because that it's not been announced yet. If they give him that quarterback coach role, what's he going to do to fix up Deshaun Watson? I'm sorry, I go back to Baker Mayfield, right? When this regime took over, and they instantly were able to identify some issues with Baker Mayfield. They corrected him. He went out and had a great year. We went to the playoffs and beat the Steelers in the playoffs. I asked that about Deshaun Watson. In a limited sample size, fighting through injuries, there's still an idea of who and what Deshaun Watson is. Ken Dorsey's got to come in and get that figured out. Fix it up. And I'm sure in preparing well for this interview, he's got ideas of what he needs to do to fix Deshaun Watson. That might be one of the reasons he got the job. Now, you still have to implement those things. And there could be still issues that crop up. There could be things that happen this season that you still got to fix. They got to believe in Ken Dorsey, the man. But I am just viewing it, and I think as our fans are, which is the right thing to do, you got to view it for what it is. This is just a piece of the overall puzzle. This is him trying to fix some of these things up in the offense. And even if you left it, which I know is the hard thing to do because you don't have Joe Flacco here anymore. But if I told you, like, you're just running it back with this offense, with Nick Chubb coming back and with this offensive line coming back and all that kind of stuff, Ryan, you'd feel better about you feel that this offense can ascend and get a lot better and be the team that you expect them to be moving forward. That's what you would hope. So I'm just asking them to roll that over a little bit while fixing things with Deshaun Watson, and I certainly hope they will. All right, Ryan, ready to get to it? Our bracket of the week. The most overrated musical artist. We're going to do it because I said that about Billy Joel because he's coming to town. So we'll do this. I will send it out. So here's the tough thing. This gets very individual on people. Mm-hmm. So when I send the tweet out, we'll ask for people's submissions. We might have to piece through this a little bit. But it's your most overrated musical artist. Will Taylor Swift make the list? Wow. Most likely, yes. Most likely, yes. And we don't like doing negative brackets necessarily here on the show. But I just thought it'd be fun. I thought it'd be fun. The most overrated musical artist of all time. Me, it's the Beatles. So the Beatles will be in. So we should get 16. And we'll do the bracket tomorrow. We'll reveal that coming up. Got a lot of things geared up this week for the Cavs. Again, we're efforting a few guests to join us here on the show as well. And we're getting ready to go for the Tipico on this week as well. You did not Google 311. You son of a gun. You son of a gun.
I was like, I wanted to make a joke, but I wasn't sure what they were called.
Son of a gun.
That's my submission.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No.
You can't tell me what my submission is.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
No, I
No,
can't.
you can't. We stated these rules at the beginning of the show.
No.
You can't tell me who my I think they're overrated.
No. Name me two of their songs.
Okay.
Oh, as he opens the Twitter back up, you're going to say Amber and Down. Go ahead. Finish your Google.
Amber, Beautiful Disaster, Come Original.
Great
Down,
songs.
Love Song, and Amber. Oh,
Love Song's a cover, by the way.
That's my submission, Matt.
I know.
You don't have a choice here.
No.
You don't have a choice here.
And we're not doing the bracket, though.
All right.
Something else.
All right.
Do something else.
If you can put Billy Joel in there, I can put 311 in there.
You're not a giant Billy Joel fan.
I love Billy Joel.
Name me two Billy Joel songs.
I can name you 1,200.
Go ahead.
We Didn't Start the Fire, Anthony's song.
I don't know if those are Billy Joel songs. All
They
right,
are.
great. All right, good
Uptown,
job. Good
Uptown
job.
Girl, Vienna.
Oh, yeah.
Piano Man.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right.
That's my submission.
All right, fine. That is. If that wins, I'm going to be so mad. Yeah, it's not going to win. That's why you put it in there. It's going to get smoked, Ryan. How about that? Put it in there, and they're going to get smoked.
It's a 1 seed.
They're going to get smoked. They're going to get smoked. So we'll send that out at Matt Fontana 83, at Matt Fontana Show. Follow us. Twitch, folks. Don't forget, Twitch. We're up on YouTube. Always streaming on Twitter. Next one right there. And the rest of the day all lined up for us here on Big Play. You got the Big Play Cleveland Show. Reflog, Gab, Nick, they're up for that. You got Blake and Greg Williams. Come get some tonight. And I think, is Hanford still... Hanford usually does around the football season. I think he's going to run through. So we'll have Hanford tonight. Folks, nonetheless, Monday, one of our biggest days here on Big Play. Follow us on Twitter at Big Play. We're up on the YouTube channels all across it. We appreciate your support as always. Come on, Cavs, let's go. Wait, one last time. I want to see if the boost up. It'll be good karma if it's up. Boost, basketball, NBA, Cavs. Not yet. Not yet. We'll get it up. Follow us on Typical. We'll send it out today, Ryan. We'll send it out when the when the boost gets up. All right, good stuff on that. Go get them tonight, Cavs. We'll talk to you on the Tuesday edition of the show. For Ryan Tyler, I'm Matt Fontana. As always, take it easy.